This historic building, which for 7 centuries has been a symbol of British power in Ireland, has today, 16th of January, been handed over to the government of Southern Ireland. At 5 minutes after the appointed hour, Mr. Collins arrived to, as he said, take over. Lord Fitzgibbon, the Viceroy and the Black and Tans made a swift exit afterwards through cheering crowds, and the last guard at the castle was dismissed. Ireland is now at peace.
Fractured. A family, a nation, a dream. 16th of January, 1922.
What do you suppose UaBuachalla wants?
No idea, Mullaney. He said he'll come into us once he's finished in the shop.
Maybe he wants to talk about what happens next.
Maybe.
Oh, he can't be happy about it at all.
He can't.
I'm not happy about it.
They say there was a fair crowd in Dublin today all the same.
A fair crowd of Egypts. Turkeys voting for Christmas.
I'm going to have to stop you there, Ricardo. I really didn't get back to you. I know.
I always had Collins down for a sensible man. He won't blink, I thought. He won't blink. I could have done a better job by the Brits myself.
There was 5 of them in it. What were they thinking?
Signing their names to that piece of shite.
UaBuachalla won't be happy at all.
Can you imagine it? Him swearing an oath of allegiance to the crown.
But it's not funny all the same.
It's tragic is what it is.
Boys, Conor Shiv.
Come on.
I'm sorry for holding you up. I had Teresa in the shop down there.
Oh, the one with the cat?
The very one. She had me quizzed up and down and sideways about the Pope dying and what did I think of his views. And I had to admit, I didn't think of his views at all.
That went down well, I'd say.
No, she didn't bat an eyelid. Just quoted verbatim his last letter to Cardinal Logue and asked me what I thought of it.
The world needs Teresa like it needs an Irish treaty.
She's not the worst. At least you know where you stand with her.
Which is more than could be said for the treaty.
Aye.
Is that why you're here, Donal?
Yes, yeah. I'm waiting on a few more now. I've a proposal for you and I've a speech to... Who is it?
Sean and Tomas Barry.
Oh, come in, boys, come in.
How are ye all?
Fair sorry for your loss, boys.
It was a hard blow. How are your parents?
Not good, sure. She was the light of the house.
Colleen, Arlene. Always a smile on her face. It was a grand funeral.
Yeah.
Yep.
How have things been here?
Doing our bit for the cause, sure you know yourself.
Your brother helped. He was a credit to you.
What are we here for? Can someone tell me?
I like a man that gets straight to the point. Sit down, everyone. Colgan said he'd be here too, but I don't want to keep you, so...
I saw Colgan at the station this morning.
Heading to Dublin, was he?
I think so.
It's a big day, I suppose.
Historic, I'd say.
I asked you here, and you too, Tomas, though I know we don't see eye to eye on this treaty business.
Treaty business? Is that what you're calling it? Today, the British handed over Dublin Castle. That's a fair business, I'd say.
Hey, Donal was speaking.
Let the boy have his say. I'm not for falling out with anyone over this. I want that clear. We've been on the same side this long time.
Aye.
And we're all entitled to our opinions. Having said that, I should warn you, Tomas, that I'm making a speech against the treaty at the Sinn Féin conference in a couple of weeks. I thought I might run it by you boys first.
Grant?
Fire away.
Are you trying to convert me?
Maybe.
Better be some speech, though.
An open mind, an open heart. Right, here we go. Now, I start off with the Cúplafocal on the delegates leaving for England with the instructions that they will report back to the Cabinet in Dublin for approval. Have you got me? Then I go on to say that Lloyd George's threat of immediate and horrible war was just bluff.
Do you know that for a fact?
No nation calling itself civilised threatens war on delegates who won't sign a treaty. It's pure bluff.
If England is so civilised, then why have we been fighting them all these years?
Will you shut up and listen?
Don't talk to me like that. You were saying, Donal?
Isn't Tomas in fierce bad form? Is Lizzie O'Neill not letting you court her now or something?
Shut your mouth about Lizzie.
You'd want to rein your brother in there, Sean?
You'd want to rein your mouth in.
Boys, what's going on at all?
Apologies, Donal. What with Moll and...
Don't use Moll in this. Don't you dare. We have a treaty. It brings peace. And I, for one, can't understand why we can't work with it.
Then listen to what I have to say. Hear me out. Will you do that for me, Tomas?
Aye.
Mahan Buchel. Right. I've a piece here on the Articles of Agreement. And you're right, Tomas. The British handed over Dublin Castle today, and they'll withdraw. But they're keeping some of our ports for their own security. The King will be our head of state, and he'll be represented in Ireland by a Governor-General, an Irishman who will perform his duties for him.
There's a man looking to be assassinated.
Only a fool would take it on. And there's more. The Dáil will have to swear an oath of allegiance to the King, who will still be our head of state.
We know all this. It's a stepping stone.
To what? What'll it mean? I have it here in the speech. It'll mean that for the first time in history, Ireland will, of its own free will, walk into the British Empire with their heads held high and become British citizens. So think about that, boys. What will your children make of that? Or your children's children?
That's the point, isn't it? It's the future generations we need to be thinking about.
I'm not going to have my grandchildren asking where I was when they were sold out.
That's what I was saying to Joe last night. And think on, why have people embraced this treaty?
Because they're afraid of war.
Exactly. The papers have sold it to them like that. If there's no treaty, there'll be war. England controls most of the press, and that's the message they're selling.
If there's no treaty, then what will there be?
For the last 4 years, we've made a great stand-up fight against the British Empire, and we took our place among the countries of the world. And I think you'll agree, Tomas, it was a proud place, and other countries looked to us and our example, especially countries trying to get out of the clutches of England.
And we've let them down.
We have.
What was the fight for? To become British? Was Pearse and Kevin Barry led to their deaths for this?
That's a good bit of rhetoric, Sean. I'll put that into the speech.
Can you put in your speech that I went out and killed a man?
We all went out and killed Tomas.
Don't you want your killing to count for something? Yes, they were RIC or TANs. Yes, they were the enemy. But they were still men who had a life. And families. I killed an RIC man to get the British out. To get the British to take notice. Well, they have, and now we can move on.
There was plenty of Irish shot by the British who had a family in life too. You're gone soft.
I've never been soft. I'm a realist. Let them Irish lives count for something as well.
They will always count.
How will they count if we start blowing each other up instead of the English?
That won't happen.
Oh, but it will. Even the politicians are tearing each other apart.
That's not true. That's the press again. You read that in the papers, didn't you?
You're saying they're all getting on grand, having cake and tea, is that it?
Maybe not cake.
I'm sorry for my tone, Donal. You're a dev man, and I was too. But I firmly believe that the boys got the best they could out of England, and that sacrificing any more lives is useless, which is what you're asking.
I was never a man of violence, Tomas. I fell out with Colgan over the lockout way back in 1913.
I know you did, but...
And I used to think that Pearse was a madman. But in time, I learned that the British and their crowd here only listen to one thing, and that's the sound of a gun.
But what Dev is asking...
Dev has been right twice before, Tomas. Once with a minority in 1914, and again with a minority in 1916.
And now, for the third time, he's in the minority, but he will be proved right.
At what cost? More lives?
Get over it, Tomas.
Get over what?
You know.
I don't. Maybe you'll enlighten me.
Tomas is for the treaty because he doesn't like killing British men.
Bastard, take that back.
It's true, isn't it?
No one likes killing, but it's necessary at times. What I'm saying is, there will be no war if we all stick together.
If we all go for the treaty, there will be no war.
I've had enough of this. You're wasting your time, Donal.
Sorry, Donal, but you are. I'll see myself out.
That'll be Colgan now. Come in. You're welcome.
How is everyone? Sorry I'm late, Donal. I was up in Dublin having a look at things for myself. God, it's cold out there.
How was it?
I wasn't full sure it would happen.
And it did?
It certainly did. Boys, this is a great day. Dublin Castle, the seat of British power, is now ours.
But the country isn't, Pat. I've a speech
There
here.
must have been about 1,000 people along Dame Street, Donal, just waiting to see what would happen. Men like yourself, who don't believe in the treaty. First off, there were parades and that in the castle yard, and everybody waiting for our boys to show, and the excitement is mounting. And then, about 1:30, up sweeps 3 cars. The first is Mick Collins, and he gets out, and he waves. And the cheering! Well, you never heard anything like it.
Oh, I'd love to have witnessed that.
It was marvellous altogether. And when the rest of the boys got out and waved at the crowd, the cheering was so loud, I thought I was going to be deafened. Then into the castle with the boys. Men who were on wanted lists not 6 months ago. Mick Collins as leader of the state. Great day.
And is the Union Jack gone?
Aye, and a tricolour up in its place. All those years chasing that dream, and here it is.
I'll take a trip into Dublin and see that for myself.
They're leaving Beggar's Bush in the next week or two. They'll be moving out thousands of men every day until they're all gone, booing when the British left the castle. 'Twas great, and they not able to do a thing about it.
Do you see? This is what we've achieved.
Our own army and all. They'll be advertising for that soon. You should join, boys.
And defend the British ports that are left here.
Are you still at that? Can't you see?
I was in the middle of reading my anti-treaty speech, Pat. Would you like to hear my side?
Indeed I would not, because that way lies ruin and war and...
I agree.
If any of you had bothered to come today, and I did ask you, Sean, you would have changed your minds about this.
It takes more than one gesture to change 700 years of barbarity.
It's not a gesture. It's real.
The people of Kildare want the treaty.
The people don't understand the Articles of Agreement. And if they go wrong, there's no reason why I should.
You were elected, Donal, to represent the people.
The people are making a mistake, walking blind into a mangle.
I'm not stupid or blind. I canvassed for you, along with Paddy Dooley and J.J. Fitzgerald, and you said, and I'm quoting here, that your mandate was to try to win the freedom of Ireland as best you could. There was no mandate for a republic.
A republic was always the mandate.
Then how come no one told me?
Maybe you weren't listening.
Out there, beyond that window, is a new country forming. Put away your egos, boys.
It's a sad day when the desire for freedom is called ego.
It's not the desire for freedom you have, O'Reilly. It's the desire to see an empire humiliated.
They humiliated us for long enough.
No one is denying that. But they have given way now. We just need to keep pushing harder at the door.
Aye, by resuming the fight.
For a school teacher, you're a fool.
You'll take that back.
I will not.
I'll not be called a fool by a coward.
Hey!
Get off.
Get off him, Mullaney.
You get off Mullaney, Tomas.
And you get off me, Sean.
Oh, my little brother raising his fist to me. Go on, you know you want to.
Boys, let's not fall out over this.
It's too late for that, Donal. I'll be going.
I'll be off too. Thinking what I've said, eh? Come on, Tomas.
This is a terrible state of affairs. Sean, you should go after your brother.
He's not himself. There's a lot happening.
He was close to the little one, wasn't he?
He was.
Are we wrong, boys?
No.
Never.
Not at all.
Because if I'm blinded by ego, I'd like to know.
You're as straight as an arrow. You see things clear, and we need that.
We also need money and arms, and we need them whether we end up fighting the English or each other.
It won't come to that.
Would you look at what just happened, would you? Tomas was ready to belt you. I went for Colgan.
Still and all.
Still and all, we need to be ready just in case. There's a mail train coming through next month. Could you arrange to be on shift, Sean?
I could. Will I say it to Tomas and Colgan?
No.
And they've been good boys.
They've taken their sides.
Colgan is full of the flag being taken down. Shine will go off that in a couple of days when he realises we're still British subjects. And Tomas will lose his love of the treaty for the same reason. They've always been good Irishmen. Have a word, Sean.
I will.
Goodbye. Now, here's the tail end of the speech. It'll rouse them, I think. Expediency or compromise never led a people to the goal of freedom. The straight path will lead us there. The fight will have to be continued. This treaty, if put into force, will give us some good things.
Preempt the arguments, good man.
Control of education and finance, and a little army of our own. But our country will be dishonoured. And I put honour above everything else. Especially the honour of my country.
Hey! Fair play.
Let the fight continue.
Good man.
Fractured is a Down at Heel production. All episodes were written by Joe Bergen, Brendan Farrell, Claire Joyce and Martina Riley. Sound engineer is Brendan Farrell. Fractured is supported by Kildare County Council through a bursary from Creative Ireland. It is also supported by the County Kildare Decade of Commemorations programme and the Department of Tourism, Culture, Arts, Gaeltacht, Sport and Media under the Decade of Centenaries 2012 to 2023 initiative.